So the world waits for US voters to have their say. Today it's a midterm election results, and due to this poll will be more knowledgeable how the markets during next months eventually will look like. Today we are approaching at a standpoint of what does it mean for the markets to have a winner of a more like a Republican or more Democratic side. So without any further ado, let's have it started. So at first let's have a look at what the possibilities of the of this poll might be. The winners been introduced today are more with higher probability be the Republicans. So if we just track that article of the Bloomberg, we may know that there are some sectors that eventually may take advantage of more than the others. So in yesterday's episode, I've talked over that this results of that votes results don't affect to the large extent the performance of the broad market, but there might be some winners among the particular sectors. Among them, there might be for instance, the cannabis sector that is fully reliant on what the outcome might be, and then another one is definitely a healthcare, and also US-listed Chinese stocks, as well as clean power, energy, and big tech. Every single sector might have another path during next quarters, resulting in different performance, and that's why investors should take a notice on what the outcome of today's midterm election may be. So at first, let's have a look at cannabis sector. Cannabis is expecting, as we may find, that democratic control of both chambers while would be far more favorable for the cannabis industry. Right now, as with expectations, we do rather find that that's more likely for Republicans to take control of the majority. However, there's definitely a very highly debated topic which of the sides must be in power. In terms of healthcare, if you are the owner of such shares as Pfizer, AbbVie, Eli Lilly, and Merck Co., you also may take a look on what the outcome of that poll will be and what the US voters will eventually say. Republicans have traditionally been more favorable to the drug industry than Democrats. That's why many of those owners of such stocks will eventually probably count on the Republican side. In terms of US listed Chinese stocks, that's definitely one of the very important take that many of those securities as Alibaba, Pinduoduo, or Baidu will be influenced by the result of that poll, and if Republicans take full control of Congress, it will ratchet up the intensity of oversight and likely lead to hearings not only over the status of audits, but also if Chinese firms should even be listed in the US at all, according to Jared Seberg, an analyst at Cohen.co. So that's the viewpoint that we also need to consider, that recently those Chinese stocks may have more I would say supervision ahead, that may lead to some broader regulation hitting the sector, but it also depends, as we can see, on which side will have its winner position. In terms of clean power, Democrats recently passed a landmark, a climate law that includes generous long-term subsidies for clean power installations, and I would say that that's more like a democratic side, as Biden still has another 2 years in his term, and the climate package is a signature achievement that he will be keen to protect. So definitely the clean power is the one to take advantage of the Democrats winners, but Republicans also may not be really against, as the world globally is heading towards those limiting of carbon emission to a large extent. In terms of energy, we've already spoken that we expect this limitation of US oil being eventually put away with those stocks. Have been drained by recent US decisions. That's why I do find that US oil may take advantage and gain in terms of either this winner or that. But Republicans may have an if Republicans win, we won't have a very strict major shift, as many analysts find it. In terms of big tech, we can read here on Bloomberg that major US technology companies, from Alphabet to Meta platforms, have long been thought to be target for potential regulation, and that won't change. Either this or that side will take the winner position. Right now, we can find that there are some of the antitrust legislation yet to be considered, and possibly big tech might have a cloudy days ahead over its sector. So that's a broader spectrum of what may the midterm election have its influence on the market. Right now, I would like to jump straight toward the charts. So let's get into it, and at first we have DXY. So DXY is holding this level, this range of 110 and 120. Right now 115, as we haven't touched 20. 110 is somewhat in difficult position to be maintained in terms of the bull side, as we are finding very strong bearish side during recent month. This seasonality also doesn't put in favor dollars bulls, as we may find that the fourth quarter by its seasonality measures belongs to bulls. Bulls, bulls of stock bulls and indexes bulls as well. So DXY right now is losing in power and might be at the brink of a further break downwards. But the currency, the greenback, is expecting, is at first awaiting at the results of today's poll. So that was DXY. Let's have a look right now at the second element, that is TNX CBOE 10-year Treasury note yield, and this one is right now forming kind of a possibly cup and handle formation, but it's still far from that to morphing. At this point, I would expect the TNX to reach the double peak formation at first, and right after maybe heading backwards if the DXY position will converge with that, and the sell-off will extend. In terms of EURUSD, right now we can find that many indexes, as well as this one, is expecting the results of today's midterm election being literally not surprising in effects, as EURUSD already started to gain on a high volume, but still needs to prove some of the resilience. On 4-hour chart, we are awaiting the moment of choosing a winner. Right now, after those really big in size green demand candle, we may find that the possible reversal on EURUSD might be within a moment when we'll manage to get out of this recent trough of the parity between euro and US dollar currency. In terms of VIX, we are right now not finding any kind of threat for the markets. These midterm elections are not expecting to surprise either bulls or bears, and we right now expecting to this situation to calm down, at least for now, after the election being ended. In terms of major US indexes, recently on DJI we've had an attempt of breaking the recent 2 months high, and there might be a chance of breaking out of this long-lasting downward trend line, which may eventually affect in further rally upwards. But before that happens, we need to get through not only the resistance being found at 33,000, but also this mentioned by me trend line that right now hasn't been broken 3 times already. So I would say that probability is rather for bears, but there might be a catalyst in terms of midterm elections that may push it forward. As for now, I won't bet either this or that side yet and take a look and sit and wait approach. So in terms of US 100, right now we are finding that the index is trying to get out of this recent trough and form a kind of a double bottom formation, but I do expect volatility to happen during today's elections. That's why taking any kind of position right now is kind of risky on that volatile index. On Germany 40, right now we are forming a pattern that may point to an end up of this problematic background we've already found at, and German's investors are finding that recent trough been built during September and October, been kind of a bargain of the recent situation, and that's why right now we can find the rally started to begin. But I won't eventually trust this move to the large extent, as Germany has the problems with energy crisis as well as inflation and possible demand distractions yet to get through. That's why I do expect this rebound to not last very throughout the long period of time, and those bulls may not persist in a far-fetched manner. So in terms of France 40, we also can find that we are trying to get a relief rally and get out of this recent tendency that has been taken off control by bears. But right now we are also finding that there is a trend line yet to there is this trend line yet to be get through, and without that ignition, I won't expect any kind of positive returns during recent weeks. The only one catalyst is definitely the Santa Claus rally and midterm post-midterm election performance that usually was favorable for stocks. On UK 100, however, we've seen a local euphoria, as I would say that. So that might be a kind of a sign of a possible reversal next months. Right now, there is not much of a catalyst that may push UK 100 back forward. I do expect this tendency to revert next weeks. So I need to make an approach towards what is happening also on the oil market. Right now the oil is trying to get through this very strong trend line that may also be a catalyst if we manage to get it through. $90 is somewhat yet to be tackled, but the bulls as we can find on MACD chart, might be eventually in power, as the chart is looking more and more attractive. So for USWTI, we can find that the bulls are right now in a decisive point, whether they are able to send it upwards. In terms of natural gas, however, we are finding that the backwardation is somewhat yet to be expected. So natural gas is right now in a reversal, and any possible rebound out of this levels might be a great chance to take a sell position next. So that were the energetic resources. Right now, let's have a look at the gold. Gold right now is also in this wait and see approach, as I would say, and we may find that it may have its another 5 minutes, as we are still maintaining this level of a trend line where we haven't denied that we may get upwards. If we, however, break below 1660 and move downwards, that will be a great chance to take a sell position in order to jump into longs. I would expect the gold to break over this 1680s area. That's why I've set an alarms around those areas both. So these are the main commodities. So let's right now have a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now is erasing those gains that recently could boast with. Right now we can find that BTC is kind of one of the weakest market that right now is presaging the risk already yet to happen during this midterm elections. That's why I would rather steer clear out of this crypto market right now, or otherwise expect this one to form another trough lower after rebounding from 19500s area. So I do expect this chart to revert to those 20-35 dollars level, and right after make another around 10% drop lower to 1900s. So out of the most important elements that I wanted to tell you about is that many of indexes are still in this indecisive moment where after midterm election we may say possibly much more. Right now I'm still holding myself from keeping any kind of position, and also taking a wait and see approach. So today was a kind of a shorter episode focused on midterm elections, but hopefully you enjoyed it and took something for yourself. Thank you very much for tuning in, and for tomorrow's episode I invite you at 8:45 a.m. each time. Thank you.